All right, how is everyone doing today? Good, still a pretty good showing. I wasn't sure how it was gonna be on a Friday. I'm glad y'all are still here. Thanks for making it. This is our ForeFlight Fundamentals Mastering the Basics presentation. My name is Rachel Scarbrough. I am a Customer Success Coordinator here at ForeFlight, as well as a CFI in the Austin, Texas area. Now, we are going to be covering quite a bit here today in a very short amount of time, but don't worry, we've got a lot of different resources available on our website. You can go to ForeFlight.com, tap on support at the top of the page. You'll have access to our support articles as well as our video library. In addition, we have a ForeFlight Mobile Pilot's Guide. This is available for you directly in the app. So all you have to do is open up the app, go to Documents, and then ForeFlight. We are available 7 days a week. When you write into us, if you have any questions or comments, write in team@foreflight.com. All of us are real people. We're going to be getting back to you. And all of us on the support team are also pilots, so we are happy to help with any questions that you have. All right, so let's kind of get started into this. What is the latest version of ForeFlight, you might ask? Currently, we are on ForeFlight 14.5.1. Now, this is important because if you do not have the latest version downloaded, you may not be getting the latest features. We come up with a new version every month, so make sure that your device is downloaded. We have a ForeFlight.com buying guide. It's ForeFlight.com/buying-guide, and this will give you access to our options on what kind of devices that we support, as well as the storage requirements for ForeFlight, so I would check that out. And our latest iOS that you have to have in order to support ForeFlight 14.5.1 is iOS 14.0. Okay, so we just talked about what the latest version of ForeFlight is. Well, how do you verify this in your device? What do you have? To do this, we're going to go to the More tab in the bottom right-hand corner of your device. Now, before I go further though, I want to just mention, we have this big bar down here at the bottom of the app. You'll end up seeing different tabs for quick, easy access. If you're on your iPhone, you might not get all of these tabs because there's limited screen space. And if you're using it in landscape view versus profile view, it's also going to be different, so just be aware of that. But the More tab is something that we're going to be talking about quite a lot today, so I want to just bring this up here right now. It's located in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. You're going to tap on that, and then you'll see the About. You might have to scroll down a little bit on that menu to find the About page, but you'll tap on that. At the top of the page here, you will have in that banner the current version that you have downloaded on your device. Is right next to the parentheses up there. Currently, this device has 14.4.1. So what was the latest version I just said? Yes, so this is not the latest version, but just an example. And I want to also point out on this page, there's a resources down there that you can actually click on. We have a ForeFlight video library, a ForeFlight blog, and you can even email us directly through one of those links as well. So just a handy place to find these resources for you. Okay, getting the latest version of ForeFlight. We now know what version is the latest, but how do we get it? How do we download the app if we don't have it yet? You're going to go directly to the App Store. Search ForeFlight Mobile EFB and you'll find it right there. So, for today's goals, we're going to be talking about two big topics: setting up ForeFlight and planning with ForeFlight. Under setting up ForeFlight, we'll be doing an overview of the accounts page, going over your downloads, creating an aircraft profile, creating a weight imbalance profile, as well as looking at some of our map layers. Under planning with ForeFlight, we'll be looking at the planning of a flight. We'll actually plan one together, doing a flight plan overview, how to file VFR. We'll be doing some weight and balance calculations, looking at track logs as well as logbook. Now, this is important because we have to set up ForeFlight in order to be able to plan with ForeFlight. We'll go into a little bit more detail here in a little bit, but I just want to basically tell you how each column here is going to be important to know and set up everything in your iPad so you're ready to go for your flight plan. Okay, so let's get started here. We are going to start with setting up ForeFlight. And to begin, we're going to start looking at the account page. Now, how do you access that? Well, you'll find that More button, the bottom right-hand corner again, and then go to Account. From there, the account page will populate. You'll have your information at the top of the page, as well as your current subscription. Under the current subscription, it also has your expiration date. Another thing that I'd like to point out is the ForeFlight Labs option. One of the reasons why I'd like to point this out is because we have a new enhanced weight and balance program. This is a little bit different than our legacy weight and balance program because we've revamped it, and you've got a whole bunch of different custom-made templates in there that our performance team has actually put together, and all of the templates have the stations, the CG aft and limits, and all of this is information coming from the POH of your aircraft. All right, let's move on to downloads here. Tap on the More button, go to Downloads at the top of the page. Now you'll see two different topics at the top. You've got data settings and region settings. This is a little bit different if you were using our ForeFlight version before. The latest version was an update with how the downloads are presented. So we've got data settings that we're going to be talking about here. We'll tap on that. And all of the toggles on the right-hand side, you can enable or disable. Now, this is important because anything that you want to have downloaded on your device, you need to enable here. If you want it available in flight and when you're not connected to the internet, you've got to toggle those on and off. We're going to tap on the downloads page just to get back to the main downloads. And then move on to our region settings. We'll go ahead and select United States. And you'll see here that all of the state options populate on this screen. Anything that has been downloaded to your device is going to be showing a blue and white check mark there. So as you can see that example at the very top, I do not have Alabama downloaded. And again, if you want the states available to you when you're not connected to the internet and when you're in flight, you want to make sure that you download them. Otherwise, you're going to have to pack for your flight, and that will be something that we'll talk about a little bit later in the presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and tap on Alabama. We'll tap on the Downloads button. And now you'll see that that Downloads button in the bottom right-hand corner is highlighted in blue. That means that I have some pending downloads. So I'm going to tap on that to get this process started. Once it's finished, that'll be blacked out for you there. All right, let's move on to setting up an aircraft. Why should we have to set up an aircraft? Why should we have to create a profile? If you're planning a route or a flight plan, you have to have your aircraft profile already set up on your device in order to get performance calculations. Once it's set up on the device, you don't have to set it up again, but we do have to get it going the first time here. So, to access this, you're going to tap on the More button and then find your way to Aircraft. If you do not have an aircraft profile already up, it'll be blank like my screen here. We're going to tap on the plus button at the very top of the page. Now here, it populates all this information, and you'll see the required information is in orange. I'm going to go ahead and just start from top to bottom, and we'll start filling out this whole page to get our aircraft profile all set up. Beginning with the tail number. We'll use November 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as an example, and then make our way over to the aircraft type. Now, we have hundreds of different aircraft in our library, so to make things easier for you, at the very top of the page, we have a search bar. We're going to filter out this here. So today, we're going to use a Cessna 172 Skyhawk, and so I'm just going to put in either Cessna or 172 or C172 in this case. Scroll through the different models, and you're going to pick the best one that matches your aircraft. Today, we'll use the 172R. And then you'll notice that a lot of the items have now automatically pre-populated for us. Anything in blue, just as a note, is going to be editable, so you can make any necessary changes that you need to for your aircraft. Now let's move on to the performance profiles here. I'm going to tap on that, and you'll notice that we've got climb, cruise, and descent profiles. Now, these are only available with Performance Plus, and there are a couple of things that we've got for Performance Plus that we don't for Basic Plus and Pro Plus, and I've tried to add that little tag that you see in the lower right-hand corner so you know what subscription is required for that. Now, these climb, cruise, and descent profiles are great because our performance team has created these profiles directly from the POH. We have digitized all the information and input it into ForeFlight. We'll go ahead and talk about the basic performance profiles here in just a little bit. But to begin with, we're going to look at one of these cruise profiles here. And let's say that we normally use a 2200 RPM cruise. I'm going to go ahead and tap on that. And I can make this my default profile. Every time I plan with this aircraft profile, it will populate this specific performance profile for me. You can always change it later on, but it just kind of makes it easier so you don't have to keep inputting that information. So I tap on Make Default, and then I'm going to tap on the back button to get back to my performance profiles. Now for Basic Plus and Pro Plus accounts, you've got this custom performance profiles here where you can add a basic performance profile. We're going to go ahead and tap on that and just enter in our information. Now the basic profiles here only takes one set of data for your climb, cruise, and descent. The performance profiles will take multiple sets of data, multiple sets of altitude and weights. into their calculation, so they're a little bit more accurate. But if you only have a Basic Plus or Pro Plus subscription, that's fine. We're just going to fill out this information, and I'm just going to start with the required info that is in orange right there. We'll also add a profile name just so you can see what I'm working with. We've got Rachel's 172R, a cruise true airspeed and cruise fuel per hour, all set up there, and we'll tap on the back button. Now you can see on this page that my Rachel's 172R has already been set up. Okay, going back to the aircraft profile page, we're just scrolling down and seeing all the options here. We can change anything we want, but the weights are all book numbers from your POH. The only thing that's not is the basic empty weight. So make sure that matches your aircraft. One thing that I want to point out and stop at is the filing here. You want to enter the filing codes for your aircraft and make sure that they're correct. These filing codes, when you file a flight plan, are going to go onto the file form and get sent to ATC. If you do not have the right kind of filing codes, then your plan might get rejected. So let's make sure that that is set up correctly. And to help you with this, we do have a document, and I'm going to show you how to get there. We'll go to the Documents page. Then you'll tap on ForeFlight. Right next to the ForeFlight Mobile Pilot's Guide up at the top, you'll see that ForeFlight Filing Guide. That is a huge resource because that has all the information that's going to help you get the filing code set up for your aircraft. If you need assistance, though, feel free to email us, team@foreflight.com, and we'll help. Okay, moving on. Let's learn how to set up a weight and balance profile. Now, just like the aircraft profile, you want to create a weight and balance profile because after you create the weight and balance profile, you'll be able to use it and add your payload and do your weight and balance calculations. With the Enhanced Weight and Balance program, these weight and balance profiles are connected directly to the aircraft profile. So we just have to set it up with the aircraft, and then we don't have to set it up again. So we'll tap on the More button, and then work our way to the aircraft page. We were already there, but we're going to go back to the aircraft page. And if you scroll about halfway down the profile, you'll see that weight and balance there. Tap on Add Weight and Balance Profile. I'll let you guys kind of get there real quick. Okay, once you do that, you have options. You can add a weight and balance profile from templates, including a blank template or a template that we have pre-made for you. Like I was saying, that information is taken from the POH and we've made it really easy. Or you can migrate a legacy profile. So if you were already using our legacy weight and balance, you can migrate whatever profile you had there into the enhanced weight and balance as well. Today we are going to use one of our pre-made templates. It's called the 4C arrangement. And you'll notice that all of these fields have automatically populated for us. We just need to enter in the basic empty CG and the basic empty weight up at the top of the page. So we'll go ahead and do that here. We'll say it's 39.4 for the basic empty CG, 1639 for the basic empty weight. And now we'll move on to our stations here. The arms are automatically populated for you, but we're going to go ahead and just tap on one of these stations just so you can see what other options we have here. You can change the name of any station. You can make adjustments to the arm. You can add a row weight limit. You can even add a seat. We'll tap on the back button just to get back to the weight and balance profile. let's say your aircraft has an additional seat or additional cargo that we do not have in our template. Well, you can add a station. Tap on Add Station, and we've got single seat, row of seats, cargo, fuel, and aircraft items. Next down the list, you've got your forward and aft CG limits and your envelope preview. And then we're going to go ahead and just tap on that November 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 button to get back to the main aircraft profile page. Now you can see on our main page here, under weight and balance, we've got the 4-seat arrangement. So that is completely set up and available for us to use for when we want to do our calculations later on. All right, next up we're going to talk about some map layers. You can add different charts and weather to the maps page. And this is nice because you can customize it to what you want to see and really pre-flight or pre-plan for your route. So we'll make our way over to the maps page. You'll see that at the bottom bar. And then at the top left-hand corner, we're going to tap on the Layer Selector button. That button looks like a stack of papers right there. Now you'll have two columns. The left-hand column is going to be your charts. I have a lot of different options here, and you might not have as many options. It depends on your subscription, as well as maybe some add-on purchases. The right-hand side is going to be your weather layers, traffic, fuel layers, other miscellaneous layers as well. But I would like to go ahead and start with the aeronautical layer. This is one of my favorites here. Let's tap on that, and you can notice that we've got airports and airspace that are automatically highlighted now on the page for us. In the left-hand side of the page, I am toggling on more options to really customize this page to what I want to see. So if I can go ahead and magnify this here, it's this bar right here. You can toggle those on and off. If you do not see that bar, I will show you how to turn that on. Tap on the settings gear icon at the very top of the page, right there. You'll see the quick filters. Toggle that on. Another reason why I like the aeronautical layer is because it makes it so you can tap directly on an airport and you can get more information about that airport right from the maps page. So you don't have to go over to the airports page. You can do this all from the maps page. You can get your weather, runway information, procedures, NOTAMs. You can get an airport diagram. That airport diagram, you can expand it, and it will populate on the plates page as well. Some other map layers that you might like are the VFR sectional, as well as the IFR low or high charts. Okay, so let's start talking about some of these weather layers now. On the right-hand side, I've got the radar composite. Some of these are basically my favorite layers that I have on pretty much all the time. The AirMets and SIGMETs layer and the TFR layers. Obviously, there are way more options you can choose from, but those are the ones that I want to focus on right now. Now I've selected all of them at once, and you can see them, and just having a really good visualization of what things are looking like all in one page. These layers are tappable, so you can tap directly on them and get more information. Another layer that I have here is called the ceiling layer. And you can see that by these boxes with the white text. Some of them are green, some of them are blue. Up at the top, we have a pink and a red one. Those are your ceilings for those airports. And they correspond to whether it's VFR, marginal VFR, IFR, or low IFR. Another popular layer is the traffic layer. This is going to give you live traffic when you're on the ground and connected to the internet. So our source for the traffic layer is FlightAware. Any aircraft you see on FlightAware is going to be displayed in ForeFlight. If you have an ADS-B device like the Sentry Plus, you will also get traffic in the air while you're flying. So you'll get the aircraft movement, altitude, speed, which direction it's going. I was actually on a flight with a student. We were doing a VFR flight, we had flight following, and we were using a Sentry. Our eyes were outside, we were trying to look for traffic, but sometimes it's just hard to see planes, even on a VFR day. Sentry was telling us that we had an aircraft coming right for us, same altitude, and it was in the same direction, coming up pretty quickly. Well, we could not see this traffic, and we did not get any kind of communication from ATC about it either. What we decided to do, though, was climb. We climbed about 500 feet, and then we saw the traffic come right underneath us. So ATC kind of gets bogged down sometimes, and maybe the traffic isn't on their radar, their scope. It's just nice to have as another situational awareness tool, kind of acts like a second pair of eyes. Okay, so we are all done setting up ForeFlight, and now we can move on to the planning stages of ForeFlight. We are going to begin on the maps page again, so go ahead and get there while I grab a quick drink. And then we're going to tap on the FPL button at the top of the page. This is going to be your flight plan editor, or your flight plan box is what I kind of like to call it. So we'll tap in the middle of that box right there, and we're going to go ahead and enter in our departure and our destination airport. I kind of picked a random route here, but this is one that I took. It's probably the farthest flight that I've taken. We're going to go from Austin Bergstrom, which is Alpha Uniform Sierra, to Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is Tango Uniform Lima. Once we enter in those airports, you can see that our route has populated on the map. And then I want to point out this Zoom to Route button that we have in the lower left-hand corner. If you tap on that, it's going to zoom in on your route and center it on your page. So we'll tap there. You see that it's zoomed in. Now we're going to tap on the FPL button just to hide that box so we can see the route a little bit better. And let's say that we need to make another stop. We need to get some fuel for this flight. How are we going to get fuel, or how are we going to see those fuel prices on the maps page without having to tap on every single airport? Well, we've got a fuel layer button. So we're going to go ahead and tap on that layers button in the upper left-hand corner of the page. And on the right-hand column, scroll down and find the Fuel 100 low lead. And I want to get some fuel about halfway on our route, so I'm just going to zoom in using 2 fingers, and we'll pick one of these airports. SWI looks pretty good. I like to tap on the runway to see what kind of surface it has, as well as how long the runway is and how wide. Well, that one had a fair asphalt, and I want something a little better than that. So I'm going to try DUA and see what things look like. The runway has good asphalt. It's 6,800 feet by 100 feet. So that looks like a pretty good option. So now I'm just going to go to the FBO here and just see more information about that, the contact info, amenities, services. They've got courtesy cars in case I want to get some barbecue. You can see their fees. And then we'll go ahead and just add this to our route by holding your finger on the route and dragging it to the airport. Then we'll tap on the airport in that menu, and it has automatically been added to our route. Now when I tap on that FPL box again, you can see KDUA has been added to our route as well here. So now we're going to tap on, we're going to basically start on the left-hand side of the flight plan box and enter in our aircraft, which is November 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the only aircraft I have on this device right now, so it automatically populated for me, but you can default your profile as well. We will select that one. The next box is your performance profile. Now, we already made our performance profile, the 2200 RPM, a default, which is why it's populating this automatically for us as well. But you can choose a different one if you'd like to. And then we've got that custom profile down here, the Rachel's 172. Next up is our altitude advisor. So we're going to tap on that third box and look at our winds aloft here. What are our winds doing? How much headwind or tailwind do we have? How much time is it going to take us for our ETE? What's our fuel burn going to look like for each altitude? Well, for this flight, I want to go about 5,500. We'll get a little bit higher up. Texas is extremely hot right now, so anything that we can do to make things just a little bit cooler would be great. So I'm going to go ahead and tap on that 5,500. And now you'll see at the bottom bar of that FPL box, we've got performance calculations that have automatically populated for us. We've got the distance, the ETE, the fuel, and the wind. Now the ETA is not showing anything. So what we're going to do is tap on the ETD button over on the right-hand side. This is our estimated time of departure. If you know a time of departure, enter it here. You can enter the date and time. And if you're within 7 days of your flight for your ETD, our system is going to use the winds aloft forecast for that time period. So it will automatically update the performance calculations here in the flight plan box as well. Now you can also see the ETA is displaying. We got 4:15 p.m. And then something real quick that I'd like to point out is this exclamation mark on that Tulsa bubble. We're going to tap on that, and you'll notice a whole bunch of more information that we can see here. But we're going to basically view that exclamation mark there, and it's telling us that we have an alert NOTAM for Tulsa. So I'm going to tap on that just to get a little bit more information and see what's going on. Well, we've got a runway closure. So this is a nice, easy way to access your NOTAMs for your airports by just tapping on those bubbles. Okay, now we're going to talk about packing for a flight. You see that suitcase button? That is your pack button. We're going to tap on that. ForeFlight is automatically going to download all the information you need, including weather, fuel prices, NOTAMs, and if you have Performance Plus, it'll also download the 3D view aerial imagery. It will download what you need for the flight, so even if you haven't downloaded it on your device, all the states, it will still download for your route. It creates this corridor around your route, and it includes 25 nautical miles on both sides of your route and 50 nautical miles from your departure and destination airports, which is really important in case you needed to divert to another airport. You've got that information. So once you're ready, go ahead and tap on that pack button. You'll see it start loading. And when you're done, it'll tell you you're all packed and you're ready to fly. Okay, so we've got our route all taken care of. Now we're going to send this to the flights page. We'll tap on that Send To button in the flight plan box. It looks like a square with an upward arrow. Now see the flights button, you'll tap on that. This is going to automatically populate everything that we just entered from the maps page, and it will send it over to the flights page so we can file a flight plan. So let's start talking about filing a flight plan, or at least looking at our flight plan first. Our flight is up at the top there because we just sent it to the flights page. And now we can see our departure and our destination airports have populated. Let's say we want to add an alternate. You're going to tap on that button there. And you can either enter in manually an airport code on the right-hand side, or you can use one of our suggested alternate airports. With our suggested alternate airports, we show the TAF, the approaches, how long the runway is, and then on the right-hand side, you can see how much more time it's going to take if you have to divert there, as well as how much more fuel it's going to use. Let's go back one real quick. Here we go. So Tulsa Riverside looks like a pretty good option. It's only going to add 7 minutes and add 1 gallon of fuel. So I'm going to go ahead and just tap on Add KRVS as alternate. And now you can see that it's automatically populated for us. Then we'll just scroll down the rest of the page. All of this information has already been added because we entered it from the maps page. The payload and the different types of fuel policies are Performance Plus feature. If you have Performance Plus, you can change to different fuel policies here between minimum, extra, maximum, landing, and manual. Once you're done with all of this, making sure everything is correct, we're going to go to the top of the page. Now we can see our nav log. We're going to tap on that nav log button. And this is going to populate everything that you're used to from a paper nav log. But it automatically calculates everything for you because we've set everything up in the system. So we've got our waypoints on the left-hand side. And look at this. We even have the top of climb, the top of descent. Does it for you automatically. We've got our course, our winds for each leg. If you have a Performance Plus subscription, you'll also have the fuel used and remaining as well. Okay, so we've looked at our nav log, our flight plan is set up, we are ready to get a briefing. We already looked at some of the imagery on the maps page, but we want to get a full briefing. And if you tap on this briefing button, this will fulfill the legal requirements for a full briefing. It saves the information and knows that you've gotten your full briefing as soon as you've tapped on that. You can access it any time on the flight's page. So we'll just tap on briefing. If you have any adverse conditions, it will show those here. If you don't along your route, it's just going to hide those. Next, we've got different convective sigmets, airmets, any pyreps for your route. And then I want to jump down to current weather and look at METARs here. It's going to give you all the METARs for your airports along the route. If you tap on plain text in the upper right-hand corner, you won't see the raw text anymore, so it kind of simplifies things a little bit. We've got different cloud coverage, the TAFs. All of these TAFs, the times on the left-hand side are the times that are estimated that you will fly past that airport. Right now we've got basically a VFR flight the whole way through. That's why those squares are green. Okay, before we file, we want to do a weight and balance calculation. Well, we've got the profile already set up, but we're going to go to More, and then Weight and Balance, and then just tap on Profile, because we're basically connecting it to our aircraft profile. Once you do this once, you won't have to do it again. So just tap on Create Profile. You'll select the right aircraft up at the top of the page. And then we'll select the enhanced profile that we already made. Okay, so here it is. We've got all our stations up on this page. This is all the info that we set up already. Everything is in blue, can be edited, so we can add our payload here. I'm going to start with a pilot. We'll tap on that. We'll add a load weight. We'll just say of 180 pounds. You can enter in a different type. If it's either person or other, obviously it would be a person for a pilot here. And then we're going to enter in a description for this weight. Now what this does is it saves that load so you can access it any other time. So if you are a pilot, obviously, and you're the one that flies the aircraft, you can save your load so you don't have to type it in every single time. So as a description, I just put test, and you'll see where this comes into play in just a second. We'll tap on close. And now you'll see the 180 pounds for the pilot, the test description underneath that, and our takeoff weight and landing weights have also populated. Now, I just tapped on the station one more time so you get an idea of where that test saved load came down. It'll be at the bottom of this menu here. So all I have to do in the future is just tap on that to use it. Let's go ahead and add some fuel to this aircraft here. We'll just put in 30 gallons. And you'll see we've got all of our information on the right-hand side has calculated, and we've got our graph up at the top of the page. We can go ahead and tap on the summary button in the upper right-hand corner. And this gives you the summary of your weight and balance. You can also send this as a PDF, which is kind of nice, especially for student pilots that want to send their weight and balance calculations to their CFI, by tapping on that Send To button, the square with the upward arrow. Here you can either airdrop it or email it. All right. If you have a Performance Plus subscription, you will get this integrated weight and balance with flights. So you don't technically have to go to the weight and balance page to enter in your load. You can do it directly into the flights page. This is something new that's with our enhanced weight and balance. So let's make our way over to the flights page again. About halfway down, you have the payload section. You're just going to tap on weight and balance. Now, it pretty much looks like the weight and balance page that we viewed. You can enter in your load. Anything in blue is what can be changed. We'll go ahead and just select 180 pounds again for that pilot. And the fuel here, you'll see, is 38 gallons. This is because in our flight plan, we selected minimum fuel, and it had 38 gallons there. We're going to go ahead and change this. Let's say we want 50. Well, that 50 that we just changed here in the weight and balance is going to talk to the flights page and automatically change it for our flight. We'll tap on that back button there that says Austin to Tulsa. All of the payloads now, all the stations have been populated on your flight's page. You could even enter in your payload directly on this flight page as well. And under fuel policy, you'll see that that has been updated to manual fuel with 50 gallons. If I change that 50 to something else here, it will automatically integrate it and change it in the weight and balance as well. Okay, I think everything is set up. Done our aircraft, done our flight plan. We have our weight and balance finished. Now we're going to file VFR. This is directly on the flights page. Go to your flight plan again. And in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see that proceed to file. We're going to tap on that, and your file form will go ahead and populate. So all this information, just take a look at, make sure everything is correct and filled out. And once you're ready to file, just tap on that file button, and it will let you know when your plan has been filed. I'm going to close out of this, and you'll see that anytime you pull up this flight, you've got this filed here, and the cancel, amend, and activate buttons down here. Even if I were to close out the app and reopen it, I can cancel or amend my flight plan. If I activate my flight plan directly in ForeFlight, I can even close my flight plan through ForeFlight as long as I'm connected to the internet. Now that is just with VFR though, so just make note that is not with IFR. Okay, let's talk about recording a track log. Track log recording is great because it basically records your whole flight, and you can see the altitude and the speed, and it's a great teaching tool. It also automatically knows how many landings that you have done. So if you want to go, if you forget and you're flying a flight pattern, you can take a look at your track log just to see how many landings you did for that day. I also had a friend that told me a story recently. His daughter had frantically called him late at night. She was worried she had busted airspace. Well, he kind of calmly told her about this track log feature and how to see your altitude. She was totally in the clear, and it just gave her all the peace in the world. All right, we're going to go to the More tab again, and then tap on Settings, because there are two different ways that you can record a track log. You can do it manually, or you can automatically have ForeFlight do it for you. I'm going to show you how to set that up. So once you get to the settings page, up at the top, I want you to use the search bar filter, because we have a lot of different settings and it's much easier just to filter it out. We're going to enter in track log. That's 2 words, track log. Once you do that, you've got enable start stop control, and that's going to populate this record button right there on the maps page. So you can either manually tap on that to start a track log, or you can automatically do it by enabling auto start/stop. We're going to go ahead and enable that there, and once ForeFlight detects a takeoff, it will automatically start recording for us. Once it detects a landing, it will stop the recording. I'm going to close out of that, and you'll see here that I'm on the runway, and my timer has not started yet for my track log. Well, that's because I haven't taken off yet, so ForeFlight doesn't know, but once I do, you see that it populates there. Okay, so we just talked about how to record a track log and what settings to use and how do you access that track log. Go back to the More button and tap on Track Logs. Any of your track logs will populate here on the left-hand side. I only have one on this device, so you're only seeing that one up at the top. All right, lastly, we are going to talk about logging our flights. To access Logbook, go to More, tap on Logbook. So if you use our track log feature, your track logs can automatically get imported into your logbook. It will show a draft up at the top. You can tap on that, and then you can make any changes here. We'll scroll on down. We can add our times, our cross country. It automatically input my takeoff and landing for me, but I can always change those as well. And then I'm going to tap on Approve once I'm finished. Now it has automatically been added to my logbook. Makes it so easy for you. Another thing that I'd like to point out is this currency summary. It's really hard to keep track of currencies sometimes. I don't know if you guys are like me. I don't fly at night very often. It's mostly during the day. So I'm constantly wondering, am I legal? Can I carry passengers? Well, this tells you, gives you a breakdown of how many days you have left to remain current. So that was basically our presentation for today. Again, we've got so many different ways to learn more. You can access our support articles and videos on ForeFlight.com. And another resource you have is directly in the app. If you tap on that More button, you've got the Support tab right here. This is just another resource for you, because if you tap on each topic there, it'll take you to something like our videos or our support center. And again, if you have any questions or comments, please email our team@foreflight.com. We are always ready to help you. But now we can go ahead and begin our Q&A session. Are there any questions? Yes, sir. So he's asking how he can use ForeFlight for a weather forecast, like if he's planning 7 days from now. And he mentioned the winds aloft that I had talked about from the flights page. Well, you will see the winds aloft for as long as you're planning within that 7 days, directly within that altitude advisor I talked about. So that will show there. You can also view our forecast discussion which is under the weather tab. If you pull up an airport, just tap on weather, and then you should see a forecast discussion under the TAF. That is also a nice little helpful. I can come help you in a second too if you'd like. Yes?
You mentioned that the traffic for ForeFlight pulled in from FlightAware.
Yes.
The weather from another source and
Okay, so she's asking about the sources for our weather as well as the traffic and, or not traffic, but fuel prices. The fuel prices basically come from either our customers like you or the FBO. You can actually go in and update fuel prices. The fuel prices are changing so frequently right now that we give you guys the option to do that. So if you tap on the FBO, you'll see a button at the bottom that says update fuel price. And then for the weather, we have different sources. We actually have a support article that tells you which sources there are, and it really depends on what you're looking at. But a lot of it we do get from weather.com or weather.gov. Yeah. Yes. Where is it what? Oh, that's a good question. Where the source comes from for our runway conditions with the poor asphalt, good asphalt, and all that. To be honest, I'm not sure on that one. That might be a... If it was up to me, yes. Yes, sir. Sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you, but you were asking about like experimental aircraft. Were you wondering about performance profiles for that and weight and balance? So most likely we're not going to have a weight and balance template for those, but you can absolutely use the blank template and fill it out, and if you need any help, let us know. Yes?
Rachel, I was wondering about, I fly a lot of different aircraft. Two of them I have not been able to put in there, and that's gliders.
Gliders?
Yeah. What do you do when you get your lists of aircraft and they're not listed like that?
Okay, so he's asking about the gliders and what you do if it's not listed. Are you talking about on the aircraft profile page?
Yeah, for aircraft that I fly.
Well, you can email us and we can request them to add it, basically our performance team. Absolutely, we've got some request cards and you can drop it in the box. It might take a little while though because we have quite an extensive backlog of custom profiles at the time.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Any other questions? Yes. How do you distinguish between a fuel stop and a waypoint on your flight plan? Well, I'm not quite sure I understand what you mean. Uh-huh.
So how do you get that landing in the middle of your flight plan? Or just, in my experience, it's just you take off at the beginning of the flight plan and you land at the end of the flight plan.
Sure. Yeah, typically I do have two different flight plans. Yeah, so if I have to stop, I will end it there and then I'll create a new flight plan for the next one. Yeah. You're welcome. Anything else? Well, thank you guys so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful rest of your week.